I headbang.
At the other end of my Skype line is Stefan Schmidt, if I'm pronouncing it right. Sorry if I'm not.
Perfectly. Perfect.
Who is a part of one of the most unique bands in heavy metal, Canto.
Thanks for having me.
Um, First of all, let's begin by your instrument, because I can see here I have found your vocals being described as lower rakataka vocals and lower guitar vocals, solo guitar vocals, vocals with distortion effects. Tell me a few things about what exactly is it that you do with your vocals?
Yeah, sure. So the idea of Van Canto is we're a metal a cappella band, so we have one real instrument being the drummer, and the rest of the singers, we have regular lead singers like a normal metal band would have, and we also have singers that imitate instruments of a metal band like bass guitar or real guitar, solo guitar, keyboards, and so on. And I am one of the guitar singers, meaning that I use my voice to imitate a rhythm guitar sound, doing things like do and so on. And in the very beginning, the syllables that we chose most of the time were really rakataka, 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 and that's why we thought it would be a good thing to describe the singing style by that. In latest albums, we chose a lot of different voicings, so not only rakataka, but I don't know, mom 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 or really dee dee. But we still call it rakataka vocals because it looks great on t-shirts actually.
It does. It's really original. Okay, so being in a cappella band for any other style of music is okay, but in metal, it's much more challenging. And the first thing I wanted to ask you is, how do you make it through a show? Because it's almost an hour long, right? It's
90 minutes, actually. 90 minutes, yeah.
at least an hour long, yes. How challenging is that?
Very challenging. So one of the things that made Van Canto a success is actually that the rhythm singers learned how not to breathe. And I really mean that. I mean, during a live show, we're also very active on stage, but there are parts in a live show where Ross and me really have to be at one place on the stage and just save our breath for the next guitar line to do. And yeah, but of course, you can also learn that. The more often we play a song live, the more we know which are the best part where I can have a small break to breathe, or perhaps one singer breathes and the other one continues singing so that there's a constant sound with it. So yeah, that's basically the challenge behind it, to manage your breathing well.
However, my questions are, let's say, elementary, because you've been around since 2006, but we haven't had the chance to talk since then. That's why I'm asking these. The reason we're talking is To the Power of Eight, your latest release that came out last Friday. Tell me a few things about the new album.
Yeah, sure. So it's our 8th album, and we have 8 original songs and 4 cover songs on it: AC/DC, Amon Amarth, Iron Maiden, and Queen. And for me, the most special thing about this album is the setup with 3 lead singers. So it's not only Inga and Hagen as our main lead singers, but also our former lead singer Dennis joined us again as a special guest on this album. So for me, as the main songwriter, it was really the most exciting thing about this album production was to write and to arrange songs for them. We're all right. We'll be dead by the night. Roaring thunder is a riot. We'll be dead by the night. We won't shy away from fight. We'll be dead by the night. We are so alive. Dead by the night.
Is it more is it very different writing music for an a cappella band than it is for writing for a regular band? How is it for you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, after 15 years and 8 albums, of course, it feels very natural to write songs for Van Canto. But I'm also a guitar player, and with Hevatar, I also have a regular metal band. And I think the songwriting style is not that different. You take a guitar and play a riff, or you sit in front of the piano, trying out some chords, and then sing some melodies. And the major difference comes into play when you arrange the song. So if you have a chord in mind, then you have, in Van Canto, you have to arrange it by distributing the different notes to different singers to create the full harmony. So it's more, when it comes to arranging, it's different, but when it comes to songwriting, it's not so much different from a regular band, I'd say.
You don't actually have to transform the melodies in sort of way so that it would work.
Perhaps a little bit with the rhythm guitar. So for example, if you play a guitar and you can just have one guitar strike and you have like 6 notes at a time. And with the singers, you really have to decide who does what note so you can still get the harmony of the song. But I think, again, it feels so natural to me. We also did a workshop video series some time ago. And while explaining what we are doing there, I finally noticed, oh, that's what I'm doing. I didn't notice that because I'm just doing it all the time. So I'm sure there are more special things behind it, but as they do not feel special for me, I perhaps cannot explain them entirely.
Throughout these years, have any fans or younger bands approached you to ask how you do what you do and maybe create a band of their own in your style?
Yeah, so for a real full metal a cappella band, I think we're still the only ones, but we get a lot of requests from fans and musicians that are somehow in the choir scene. So especially for the ballads like Last Night of the Kings or our Blind Guardian cover from Bard's song, we get a lot of requests if we could share the arrangement because they want to sing it as well. But I think for the real metal style, that sound that we make for sounding like a guitar is perhaps nothing that can be done so easily. I don't know. Or perhaps it's also just because we have that label. If you think, oh, metal a cappella, then it's just Van Canto. Like if you would Google metal with cellos, then you have Apocalyptica. And it's not like there are 20 bands with cellos. It's still Apocalyptica who made that trademark. And perhaps this also happened with Van Canto. So it just has been done, so nobody else wants to do it. I don't know.
How has the journey been so far? Was it difficult in the beginning? Looking back, would you change something?
No, that's definitely a no. I would not change anything. We have a song on the current album called Turn Back Time, which is actually about the feeling or about the idea not being able to turn back time, but that it's okay how things evolved. If I remember the beginning of Van Canto, for me everything felt way easier than compared to my former bands because we all played in regular metal bands before. We recorded demos, we sent them to record companies, we tried to make it on the festival stages, and it was just hard to do because there are so many bands around. And with Van Canto, everything was easier because we had that very easy story to tell. We are doing metal just with voices, and it was just easier to get attention. But then, of course, we had to live up with the expectation and really do something that's not only a gimmick or a fun thing to do, but actually is real music. But that's just work, and we love to work, so that's why we already have 8 albums in 15 years, and that's how we do it.
That's the remarkable thing, because in the beginning it was something original. It was something that everybody wanted to hear out of curiosity. But you've built a following. That's a very that's a great thing. A great accomplishment. At least that's how I see it.
Yeah.
Do you feel that as well?
I totally can relate to that, especially as there was no time in Van Canto where we did like these master plans, like, oh, let's plan the first album and then the second, and in 5 years we want to be there, and then in 10 years. Everything also came to us very as a surprise. We just were very happy that a lot of teenager dreams from ourselves came true with that band, meeting our idols, being on tour, recording albums that not only are known by your friends, but by the entire world. So yeah, if somebody would told me after the debut that we would go for 15 years and 8 albums, I perhaps would not have believed it myself. But I'm very happy that it turned out that way, and it's just great that Van Canto became a real band and a known band in the metal scene.
Let's talk a little bit about the album. Tell me about the inspiration and the themes that you touched with your new songs. And a little bit about your creative process. How is it that you grasp the idea, how you work on it?
Yeah. So for the motives and the subjects, I mean, it's not that it's not a concept album. We did a concept album 5 years ago with Voices of Fire, but this time, or all the other albums are really just single songs put together on an album. And the major topic of Van Canto lyric-wise is motivational topics or subjects like believe in yourself and do not listen too much what others say or how they judge you, but keep on doing your thing and do it right and so on. So that's also the major topic of the songs on this album. And for the creative process, it's also important to know that Van Canto, 99% of the songs start with music. So the lyrics are really the last thing that are written for a song, but the complete mood and the perhaps also the topic and some parts where we know we have to pick a word that sounds like oh and not ah. All these decisions are already made from a music standpoint, and then the lyrics somehow have to fit in. That's why we would not be able to have a big political message or something like that where really every word matters, because for us the words are more one part of the music and not so much not the deepest meaning.
What about the covers you chose? Amon Amarth, Iron Maiden, AC/DC, and Queen. How come?
Yeah, first of all, we have to like the songs, of course. And with three lead singers on this album, we also wanted to show at least one cover for each singer where they can really have their perfect spot of vocal range. And as Hagen can sing very high and very low, we had to pick two songs for him. So with Amon Amarth, a growl song, and with AC/DC, more of a screaming song. And then, of course, we have to like the songs, especially the lead singers have to have a strong relationship to the original so they can perform it authentically. And it somehow has to fit on the album. Like if we need a faster song, then perhaps we choose something like Run to the Hills. And if we only have fast songs on an album from our original songs, then we would have picked a ballad or something like that. So it should be a mixture that shows the complete range of Van Canto.
Do the fans sing along and by singing along, I don't mean the lyrics, but I mean the musical part, since you're all singing.
Absolutely,
Live.
absolutely. They do, and that's of course great to watch from the stage. That you also are an inspiration to people singing really diddly diddly all the time. And I remember Joachim from Sabaton telling me that after our cover version of Primo Victoria in 2013, he noticed that a lot of people on Sabaton concerts in the first row, when the music kicks in, they are singing "Run diggy dun diggy dun diggy dun," and so it also already takes over the concerts of the original artist. That's great to learn.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. Okay, so COVID hasn't moved on yet, and concerts aren't back on track yet. What do you plan to do in order to promote your new release? Do you have any plans yet? Do you have any dates?
Yeah. So yeah, it's entirely different than from all the other albums we did, because this time we only release an album but not promote a tour at the same time. And it's also that the complete conversation, also the feedback only happens in a digital world. I mean, it's great that it can happen there, but for example, with the former albums, we had listening sessions in the studio with journalists, or we had fan club meetings where we showed them the songs before they were released and everything. And all this has had to be skipped during that production. And also, it's the first time where we release an album and do not promote the tour. So yeah, for me, it's just doing these kind of interviews, and I love doing them because there's a lot of interest in Van Canto from all over the world. That's great. And I think the live thing will just be this time a separated story, hopefully starting again summer season 22 when festivals from this year they are all already cancelled or postponed again. So I hope for 22, and then we start with festivals and take it from there.
I see. I'd like to thank you very much for your time. It's been wonderful having you. It's a very unique thing that you're doing, and I really admire you for that. Is there anything special that you would like to send a message out to all the listeners before listening to The Power of Eight?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for the interest in Van Canto. And I think if you made it entirely through an interview with a metal a cappella artist, then you are open-minded enough to take a listen to the album as well. And yeah, apart from that, I can just say that I hope to meet all the Van Canto fans and the metalheads in real life again. Fingers crossed for everything turning out great someday. And until then, we at least have to we have some music that we can all listen to. That's a good thing.
That's the best thing about it. Thank you very much, and I hope all the best for the new album.
Thank you very